Arlene, I have you on screen now, so how would you like to regale us with adventures in godhood?
Okay. Um, I have been saying that this book was inspired by Flatland by Edwin A. Abbott, but in fact, in retrospection, it's actually a reimagining of Flatland. And Flatland is about a three-dimensional person who discovers a two-dimensional world, enters that world, makes contact with one inhabitant, and the rest of the book is about all the repercussions that happen to that two-dimensional person as a result of this contact. And so I was thinking, what kind of multidimensional being would even notice us, considering that now the theorists are saying that there may be up to 10 different dimensions. So it would have to be someone who is young, curious, playful maybe. And so there is an ensemble cast in Adventures in Godhood. And what I'm going to read you is how Damone, that's his name, brings together two of these characters. Ellie O'Toole is an undergrad student at a Canadian university, and she is doing her laundry at the local laundromat, and she hears a noise in one of the machines. "Hello," said a raspy voice behind her and to her left. It sliced through her concentration like a scalpel, dissecting her thoughts and instantly straightening her spine. No one had come through the front door of the laundromat. She would have seen them. If this was a flesh and blood intruder, then they must have had a key to the service entrance. And laryngitis, she added, considering how hard they had to work for each syllable. Are you talking to me?" "Yes," the voice replied. Ellie leaped to her feet and spun around. She saw no one. "Where are you?" she demanded unsteadily. "I here." She cocked her head and let her gaze roam over the three rows of washing machines, searching for anything that was different or out of place. The top loading machine in the corner snagged her attention. She'd noticed earlier that its lid was down and there was an out of order sign taped to it. Could someone have climbed inside? Swallowing hard, Ellie crossed the room and carefully lifted the lid, just enough for a look. It was more than enough. With a gasp, she jerked her hand away, letting the lid slam shut again. Not someone, something was inside the washer. A pale, glowing mass of ectoplasm. That had to be it. Like in that movie, Ghostbusters. There was a ghost inside the machine. Her hands trembling, she fished her phone out of her pocket and called 911. A man's voice answered on the second ring. 911, what is your emergency? "I need help. It's trapped inside the washing machine, but I don't know for how long," she replied breathlessly. "I'm at the laundromat in the Cornerstone Plaza near Steeles and Weston Road." "Is it an animal, ma'am? Are you injured?" "No, I'm not hurt, and I don't need animal control for this. I need..." "Who you gonna call?" teased the refrain at the back of her mind. She knew who she needed. If only they existed. "Ma'am, stay with me now. What's your name?" "Ellie. Ellie O'Toole." "Okay, Ellie, you're doing great. Now, can you tell me what you've trapped in the washing machine?" "No." "Because you would never believe me." "Then can you describe it for me?" Closing her eyes, she said in a rush, "It's glowing, and it's shaped like a mouth, a big blobby mouth with a disgusting tongue and floppy lips." Silence. "It's a ghost, damn it!" Ellie shrilled at the phone. "It spoke to me. I heard it." More silence. Then a different man's voice came on the line. "Ma'am, I'm dispatching a police officer to your location to assist you." "You are? So you believe me?" "Yes, and he will too. You might say he's our specialist in this kind of emergency. Please remain as calm as possible and stay where you are. He'll be there shortly." Hearing laughter in the background, she broke the connection. Right, she thought bitterly. A police officer with a butterfly net, no doubt, for me. Meanwhile, the damn ghost is probably sliming the inside of the machine. Ellie, rasped the voice again. She whipped around, startled. Then a wave of horror broke over her, sending a chill the length of her body. You know my name? She whispered hoarsely. I hear. I demone. The police are on their way, she informed the ghost in a voice half an octave higher than usual. You can talk to them. I'm not saying another word to you. Silence. 20 minutes later, an unmarked car pulled into the parking spot directly in front of the laundromat. Ellie watched through the window as a man wearing a well-tailored gray business suit stepped out of the vehicle. He was of medium height with short dark brown hair and a set of features that suggested his face had been assembled by a committee unable to reach consensus. Not surprisingly, for someone who was an expert in this kind of emergency, his demeanor was friendly and open, she realized, the kind that might encourage distraught people to talk to him about what was troubling them. Whether or not he believed a word of it, he would hear them out, because that was his job. He would listen attentively, nodding in sympathy and eventually calming them down so that he could kindly and pleasantly escort them to the nearest mental hospital. Ellie was regretting having made that 911 call. He stood in the parking lot for a long moment, visually surveying the area. Then he strode through the front doorway, paused, and gazed around the laundromat as well before making eye contact with her. His eyes were the color of smoke. She swallowed hard, feeling as though they were pinning her in place, like a butterfly he trapped in a net. Are you Ellie O'Toole? He finally asked, pulling a small spiral-bound notepad out of his inner jacket pocket and flipping to a blank page. I'm Detective Breck. You called 911 about trapping something dangerous inside a washing machine? Yes, Ellie couldn't bear the thought of saying it aloud again. Perhaps it would be best to let him see it for himself. Tiptoeing back into the corner, she beckoned to him. When he was standing next to her, she grabbed the lid of the out-of-order washer and flung it open, taking a reflexive step backward. Nothing happened. Tentatively, Breck leaned closer and stared inside. He made a show of looking all around the inside of the washer drum. Then he straightened up, cleared his throat, and asked, Are you sure this is the right machine? I'm positive, she declared. It even spoke to me, told me its name, Demone, and when I looked inside... Ellie stuck her face over the aperture and repeated the detective's inspection. It's gone, she murmured brokenly. There isn't even a smear of slime to show that it was here. Damn. I beg your pardon, said Breck, his pencil poised to take notes. Slime? Like what a slug leaves behind? No, like what a ghost leaves behind. Ectoplasm. Uh-huh. Breck put away his pad and pencil. You reported a haunted washing machine. Tell me, did Al Gerber put you up to this? No, nobody put me up to anything. You must think I've lost my mind, but I know what I saw and I know what I heard, she said stubbornly. All at once, a raspy voice said from somewhere behind them, Hello, Detective Breck. And Ms. O'Toole, it's a pleasure to see you again. Moving in tandem, they spun 180 degrees. Nothing had changed. They were still the only people in the laundromat. They exchanged wide-eyed looks. Hers had a, now do you believe me, tilt to it. Did it sound like that? Breck asked her tightly. No, the ghost who spoke to me earlier could barely string two words together, she replied. That's true, said the voice, but I've been practicing since then. Since 20 minutes ago, she challenged. Breck motioned to her to keep the conversation going and began to prowl the room, looking for microphones, most likely. 20 minutes for you, a great deal longer for me, the voice replied. Your kind travels a timeline at a constant speed and in only one direction. My kind is bound by no such limitations. I've had ample opportunity to learn how to communicate with you. With me? With your kind. I find you interesting, definitely intelligent, well worth studying, fun to observe, even more fun to play with. I'm over here, Detective Breck, said the voice, in the dryer. Ellie whipped her gaze to the left, where a faint glow was emanating from the circular glass pane of the machine that now contained a considerable portion of her wardrobe. Oh, shit, she muttered. She sidled over and risked a closer look. Her clothing was being tumbled by the rotation of the drum. In the middle of it all, hanging motionless, was a smallish, luminescent, roughly spherical object. Don't you dare slime my underwear, Damani, she warned. Damani, said Breck, coming now to stand beside her. He was scribbling fiercely in his little spiral-bound pad. That's your name? And have you spoken to others of our kind, as you put it? The voice chuckled, sending an icy shiver across Ellie's shoulders. You should ask your grandfather about me, Miss O'Toole. He'll have some stories to tell you. And you, Detective Breck, should look up a novel by an author named Claire Amory. I believe you'll find them both extremely informative. You say you can move back and forth in time, Breck persisted. While practicing your language skills, did you happen to blow up a pigeon on my window ledge 2 mornings ago? And one in the park yesterday afternoon? Pigeons have been exploding, Ellie echoed. Yes, someone recorded the incident in Hyde Park and posted the video online. The damn thing has gone viral. Your recent past is my long ago, said Damani. Those were crude attempts to speak through a living creature, and they failed. Now that I've learned how to make vibrations without disaggregating matter, you can expect to hear from me, or to have heard from me fairly often. Check your memories from time to time, and be careful what you wish for from now on. Just saying. And with that, the light inside the dryer winked out. I think I'm going to stop there.
Thank you. I love that introduction. And if you would, Arlene, you mentioned it as part of your, as part of what you just read, but I love the opening line of the book. Would you like to share the opening line of Adventures in Godhood?
I can do it from memory. The pigeon exploded on the ledge of Detective Martin Breck's windowsill at exactly 7:03 a.m. on a Monday morning.
I love that. That's what you're in store for with Adventures in Godhood by Arlene F. Marks. That is coming up in November. And again, you can get more information on brain-lag.com. And let's turn it over to Victoria.
Hello. I'm going to be reading tonight from Blackout Odyssey, which is a magical realism, sort of contemporary fantasy story. It's a retelling of the Odyssey that takes place over a single night in 2003, which was the Northeastern blackout. And our protagonist, Mallory, is trying to get from Scarborough all the way to Etobicoke without any power or cell phone or transit pass or money.
And for those not from the GTA, Scarborough and Etobicoke are on opposite sides of Toronto.
Yes. So it's sort of, again, like in the Odyssey, where he's trying to go in a straight line from Troy back to Ithaca, but sort of does this. Mallory does sort of the same thing as opposed to just going straight across Bloor. So this takes place after she has just escaped from the underworld. I wondered how long I'd been away. The sun was completely gone, and the night air cooler than the furnace of the afternoon, but still warm and humid, tasted stale. Even without power, the annex continued to be lively. The shops were all dark, many of them closed and locked. Windows hung open in the apartments above storefronts, some with candles, some with people leaning on the sill, hanging out for a hope of breeze. At the end of the block, one of the bars had a full patio still pulling in customers. They probably could have a bathroom I could use. The patio tables were covered in assorted candles. Maybe people were bringing their own? And customers clustered around them, drinking warm beer, wine, ice cubeless juice, and water. I tried to catch the waitress's attention. Just sit anywhere, she said hurriedly without looking at me. Actually, I just need to use the bathroom, I clarified, putting on a hopeful face and trying not to tap dance. Oh, She stopped, apologetic, readjusting her tray. Sorry, hon, no washroom tonight. What? Why would the toilet need power? Oh no, it's not that. The bathroom's down like a narrow flight of stairs and a long hallway in the basement, right? I just cracked my forehead a few minutes ago and I've been down that staircase a million times. It's just too dangerous in the dark. Someone overheard us. No bathroom? Isn't that like like a health code violation or something? Their partner across the table laughed. You're drinking warm beer and eating unrefrigerated meats, and you're only caring about the health code now? Yeah, but beer can't go off. I mean, it's gone off already, hasn't it? What's this about the burgers? The burgers are fine. How are they even cooking them? It's a gas stove, guys. The conversation continued around me, each eavesdropping patron offering their own 2 cents on the pros and cons of having a restaurant open during a blackout, all while the harried waitress tried to bus tables. Hey, someone nudged me. No one I knew. He had a beer in one hand, too much aftershave, and that particular and unwelcome look in his eye. If you need a washroom, you can come back to my place and use it, babe. I forced away the urge to make a gagging face. That's okay, thanks. He stepped closer, and I had to back up, smacking into one of the small tables. I tried to step past him, but he stepped in stink, leaning over me. Hey, come on, don't be like that. We're having a party, he cajoled with a leer, trying to get a hand on my ass. But before I could knee him in the nads, I think we can all agree here that I've been having a day and no longer had any patience to deal with spare on strangers trying to grab me. One of his friends pulled him away, alarmed, but trying to laugh it off like, oh, that's just our creepy friend. Ha ha ha, what a card. Yeah, ha ha ha. Ugh. I was so tired. I was getting to the point where I was fed up just enough to pee in an alley or behind a bush or whatever. I didn't care anymore. I was half tempted to pee in front of Creeper just to make a point. One of Creeper's friends tried to invite me to join them, like I would after that, but he was mercifully interrupted by someone shouldering past him bearing a guitar. No, wait, was that a banjo? It was a banjo. Who plays banjos besides cowboys? They didn't look like cowboys, they looked like skinny art students. They were setting up in a corner of the patio while other patrons looked on, as confused as I was. Oh, thank God you're here, Tyler, the waitress remarked, arms full. I called you like 2 hours ago. Phone? My ears pricked up. I had to walk. I told you that already, Sandra. Tyler, the first banjoist, tuned his instrument with the serious expression of a put-upon artiste, and then he was joined by another banjo player. And another. What was this, a convention? I'd gone my entire life without seeing a banjo player before, and now there were 3 of them. 3 years into the 21st century, and art students play banjos now. Focus, Mallory, focus. There's a phone on the premises. I let Sandra pass me and fall into step behind her. Half paying attention, so I grabbed a tower of plates and some glasses and followed her to the kitchen door. She watched me put the plates down in the stacks with the confused face of a dog who doesn't understand where the ball went that you just threw, like the world had broken. You look like you could use the help, I said, over the din. Behind her, someone was grilling, flames leaping, bright against the dark. Thanks, she said, but her face didn't change. Still confused, she went back out, and I followed, clearing debris, while Tyler and 2 more banjos began twanging merrily away, causing drunken conversations to lurch into wide-eyed silence. They weren't bad, judging by the standards of a student amateur band. I'd certainly sat through worse in my undergrad days. The song that they played sounded oddly familiar, but I assumed it was some sort of cowboy tune, and I didn't pay it much mind while I gathered up more dishes. I told you, hon, I can't let you use the bathroom, Sandra said. She figured out why I was helping her as I dumped glasses into the sink. It's like terrifying. She gestured to an unlit hallway that stank of old grease and culminated in a staircase straight out of nightmares. Even Lucas doesn't want to go down there, and he's like 6 feet of nothing scares Lucas. I blinked. It's not that. I mean, okay, it was, but who was I to go where Lucas is feared to tread? I was just wondering if I could use your phone to call home. It's not long distance. My boyfriend's probably worried sick, just for 5 minutes. I promise to be quick, and I'll help you some more, too. Aw, hon. She wore another doggy expression, the one where they tilt their head and put a paw on your knee because they know you've had a day with no treats, too. She wiped her hands on her apron and rubbed her eyes. Fuck, I could use a cigarette. I will be super quick, I repeated. Phone's dead, hon, she said with a sigh, gesturing to the wall behind me where a portable phone sat at the cash table. Battery gave out an hour ago. Fuck. Well, I tried. We both stood in the door watching the banjo jamming art students, and something about the song tugged at my memories like a too excited child. Someone staggered to their feet, clapping, one of the creepy guy's friends. He was humming along very loudly, and I suddenly recognized one of the songs. Is that Are they playing a medley of Mariah Carey songs? I scratched my nose. On a set of 3 banjos? We live in mysterious times, Sandra agreed wearily, but at least no one's currently bugging me about warm beer to see a menu they can't read in the dark. Getting time and a half for this, right? No, she admitted. She gave me a sly smile. But the machine's down and I'm having to write all the totals out on, like, paper. Who knows what kind of mistakes I'll make? She disappeared into the kitchen to trade shouts with someone, possibly 6 foot scared of nothing Lucas, and I drifted out onto the patio. Drunk Creeper's pal had migrated next to the trio of art students, taken his t-shirt off, because it was business time apparently, and twirled it around his head while launching into a very spirited rendition, perfectly timed, of Fantasy Boyfriend. The rest of the patio stopped, open-mouthed. Drunk Creeper's pal had pipes and a phonographic memory for Mariah Carey lyrics. The 3 art students shifted from confusion to joy and then really shredded on the banjos. Maybe you think that people cannot shred to banjos on Mariah Carey songs. You would be wrong, and I have seen it. Someone reached out to touch my wrist, and I jumped. The woman startled too, hands up in surrender. We both reflexively said sorry at the same time, and then relaxed, chuckling. "You're not bad," she said with a head tilt towards the impromptu performance. "It's a little like Mariah Carey karaoke." Mariah karaoke, we both laughed. She cheers me with a beer as the band swung into the next song, which I don't know the name of, but I can hum. Drunk Creeper's pal, now the official Mariah karaokeist, was already starting to lose his voice in the higher notes, but none of his enthusiasm. "Lee's Palace," the girl said, starting to clap. Everyone was starting to clap. "What?" She gave me an awkward smile. "You might want to try Lee's Palace." A friend at the table added, "It's open. It's running, like open air concert, like acoustic concerts or something. I forgot what they called it, but they were standing outside trying to drum up business or whatever." It took me a moment to grasp what they were trying to tell me. "You think I can use their bathroom?" They nodded again with the vigor of the helpful and or tipsy. "I'm kind of enjoying this," one of the girls said, her gesture encompassing half the annex. I mean, not the warm beer part, but just like hanging out and listening to live music and not having to work on my thesis because it's on my computer. "Oh my God, I didn't even think of that," her friend exclaimed. "I was just slacking, but that's totally a better excuse." "Totally is," I agreed, as the Mariah karaoke superstar broke off the song to be sick into the potted shrubs, causing banjo player number 2 to recoil and fall off their stool. "Which way is Lee's Palace again?"
Thank you very much, Victoria. Again, that is from Blackout Odyssey, which is out now, just came out a month ago.